It's March 20th, 2023. In the West, especially in America, we have options. Options for everything. My uncle told me a story one time about this time he went shopping with some friends who were visiting from India. And it was their first time shopping together. And my uncle went to go grab something in the store, and then he came and eventually found his friends that were from India, and they were all just standing together in the bread aisle, just shocked by the number of options for bread. Because where they were from, you know, it was just bread. They didn't have whole wheat, white, multi-grain, gluten-free, whatever, you know, every kind of bread you can imagine. They just had bread. Maybe they had a couple options, but for the most part, it was nothing like what they were seeing here in America. And options seem like a good thing, right? You can choose anything you desire. There's tons and tons of options. And this is with food items. It's with things you want to watch on Netflix, music, movies, anything you can think of, right? Even dating now, it's like you use an app and you have access to unlimited options for partners in dating. And it would seem like this is a good thing, right? What could be bad about having so many options? It gives you different things to choose from. If you don't like one thing, you can choose something else. Well, there was this study done, and I can't remember the exact details, but basically it was like they wanted to measure people's satisfaction in ice cream choices. And so what they did is they split up the pool of people into two groups. And one group, they gave two options. They could have vanilla or chocolate ice cream. And then the other group, they took them somewhere like Baskin Robbins or whatever it was. Maybe they just had a bunch of flavors, but they had like 30 flavors or something like that. And then they had everyone choose an option and choose what kind of ice cream they wanted. And what they found was surprising. The people who were limited to either vanilla or chocolate, regardless of which of those two they picked, were more satisfied with their choice than the people who had 30 different options for ice cream flavors. And so, to some degree, options are okay. It's good to have maybe a couple of them. But in the West, where we're just flooded with options for everything, for the media we consume, the food, books, places to go to eat, places to go to school, cars to drive. There's so many options. You can even choose your gender nowadays. You know, choose whatever you want to be. But the problem is, when you have an overwhelming number of options, it creates anxiety about the choice you're making. Because if you choose one, you're more likely to have this thought that, oh, you know, there was a lot of other stuff. Maybe there was a better one out there. Maybe I should have chosen something different. And it makes it hard to just pick one and go with it. And I believe this is causing a lot of distress and anxiety for people in the West, especially in things like dating, where it's become this big game of, you know, just continually cycling through people, and no one ever just settles on a match and sticks with it. It's like, oh, there's always something better. There always could be something better. And when you're dealing with something like relationships, where there's real emotions and very high stakes, it just leads to a lot of hurt. And so if you're struggling with dissatisfaction in a certain part of your life, maybe look at that part of your life and see if there's just this overwhelming sea of options available, or if there's just a couple. And if there's just an overwhelming number of options, maybe try to narrow it down somehow and make it easier to make a decision. Because making a decision allows you to move forward. And as you're moving forward, you're going to be more satisfied with life. So, you know, if you're trying to pick a movie to watch, maybe stick to a certain genre, or stick to a certain director, or movies from only 2015 or something like that. Like, put limitations on your decisions. And also just get better at choosing something and sticking with it. When you have all these options and you jump around all the time, it doesn't allow the time to just sit with the one you pick and develop it. And, you know, maybe with something like ice cream flavors, it's not a big deal, but let's say it's something like a musical instrument you choose to pick up. If you keep bouncing around and like one year you're like, oh, I want to learn the guitar, and then you get okay with it, but then the next year you decide, you know, I don't actually like guitar, I'm gonna start piano. You never get to this point where you can master that thing. You're always switching, and you don't carry momentum. It breaks up the pattern of your life. And so having too many options can slow things down and even paralyze you to some degree. So narrow down your options and perhaps you'll be more satisfied. That's all I've got for today. Peace.